Let me ask you something. When was the last time you had a great treat? A biscuit, slice of cake maybe, a takeaway? When was the last time you had some and just enjoyed it? Without that running commentary in your head about, oh, should I or shouldn't I? Or how long you're going to go to the gym? Or how you're going to have a good day tomorrow? If the answer is that you can't really remember or maybe never, then you are not alone. And this episode is for you. Welcome to, or welcome back to, the new 5 a day. I'm Nick Walters, and this is Eat Well, episode 3. And today we're tackling something that sounds simple, but turns out to touch on some of the most interesting ideas in nutrition and psychology. And that's the place of treats in a healthy diet. Spoiler alert, treats have a place in a healthy diet. And we're going to find out exactly what that looks like. So here's the problem with how a lot of nutrition messaging talks about treats. It labels them as failures, as little moments of weakness to be compensated for, or maybe grudgingly permitted. And that framing is both wrong and counterproductive. It's wrong because the evidence doesn't support it. And it's counterproductive because that kind of thinking makes healthy eating harder, not easier. So here's what the evidence actually shows. The most consistent finding in nutrition science across decades and thousands of studies is that what matters for your health is your overall dietary pattern. Not any single food or meal, but the pattern of what you eat across days, across weeks, across months. That birthday cake on a Saturday, set against a whole week of decent eating, barely registers. It's a rounding error. So treats aren't the enemy. They never were. The enemy, if there is one, is a daily diet built around poor defaults. And those are two very different things. Look, I mentioned defaults there, and let me speak a bit more about this idea because I think it's useful. Your defaults are the foods you eat without much thought. They're your standard breakfast, your go-to lunch, the snack you reach for on a Tuesday afternoon, or the dinner that you throw together when it's already 7:30. These are the meals that do the heavy lifting in your diet. They're the go-tos, the standards. Now, a lot of nutrition advice focuses on the exceptions, the birthday cake, the takeaway, the glass of wine. But those have a fraction of the impact that your defaults do, simply because your defaults happen every day and your exceptions don't. If your typical meals include vegetables, protein, maybe some whole grains and some fruit, then your diet is already doing most of what it needs to. Improving those defaults has a far bigger payoff than cutting out treats. And the flip side, if most of what you eat is heavily processed, high in added sugar, and low in fiber, then the treats really aren't the problem here. They're a symptom. So before anyone asks whether they're allowed a biscuit, the more useful question is, what does my lunch on Tuesday look like? Because that's where the real work happens. Right. So when is a treat actually fine? And by fine, I mean genuinely fine, not permitted on a cheat day, and not I'll exercise it off, but fine as a straightforward choice. The short answer, when it's occasional, when it's enjoyed, and when it doesn't replace the structure of your everyday eating. But let me give you some more specifics. Celebrations, a birthday, a wedding, the end of a hard week, a dinner with people you love. Food is part of the experience there, not incidental to it. Turning down the cake isn't the healthy choice. It's just a bit joyless. And there's no evidence it makes any meaningful difference to your long-term health anyway. So just enjoy it. Busy weeks, a takeaway on a Thursday when cooking genuinely isn't going to happen. That's not a dietary failure. Nutrition has to work around real life. And then there's simple enjoyment. A good piece of chocolate, eaten slowly because you like the chocolate, or a pudding at your favorite restaurant. Food is part of how we experience the world, and an approach to eating that makes pleasure feel like a problem, that isn't a healthy relationship with food. It's just a stressful one. And the research backs this up. Flexible approaches that allow occasional treats lead to better long-term health outcomes than rigid restriction. Better health because people can actually sustain them. So here's the distinction I think matters most in all of this. The difference between a treat and a habit. A treat is intentional. You choose it, you're enjoying it, and you know that it's occasional. A habit is automatic. It happens every day without much thought, and honestly, often without much satisfaction. Because when something's always there, it stops feeling special. Some examples. You sit down on a Friday afternoon and you intentionally, slowly enjoy your favorite chocolate bar. That's a treat. Sitting on the sofa every night, grazing on sweets without really noticing what you're eating, well, that's a habit. Same food, very different experience. A takeaway on a hectic week, well, that's just a practical expedient. A takeaway most nights of the week because cooking never seems to quite happen, well, that is a default. And that needs looking at, not because takeaways are wrong, but because it's becoming your go-to, not an exception to it. So the question worth asking here is simple. Is this treat the exception, or has it quietly become the norm? If it's the exception, enjoy it. If it's the norm, it might be worth noticing that and thinking about what you want to do with it. So let me be straightforward about when this does become a problem, because the evidence is clear. High habitual consumption of added sugar, and especially of sugary drinks, is linked to a meaningfully higher risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. The evidence on sugary drinks is particularly consistent. Liquid calories don't seem to be compensated for the way that solid food is. So they tend to add to your overall calorie intake rather than replacing anything. More broadly, when cakes, biscuits, fast food, and confectionery make up a large share of your regular diet, the main issue is displacement. They're crowding out the fiber, the vitamins, the protein, and the healthy fats that your body actually needs. When treats take up too much space, the rest doesn't fit. There are behavioral signs too. If treats are your main way of managing stress, boredom, or difficult emotions, rather than a pleasure you choose deliberately, that's worth noticing. Over time, emotional eating can blur whether you're actually hungry or satisfied. And if you feel out of control around certain foods, eating past satisfaction, hiding food, feeling guilty every time, it's worth a conversation with your GP or a dietitian. Not because you failed, but because they can help you out in ways that willpower alone usually can't. Right, the practical bit. Here are a few things that can help. First, work on your daily defaults before focusing on your treats. Improve your everyday breakfast, lunch, your go-to dinner, and then treats become largely irrelevant against a strong overall pattern. Second, make treats count. If you're going to have one, choose something you genuinely enjoy rather than just having something mediocre out of habit. A small portion of something exceptional usually beats a large portion of something you didn't really want anyway. And eat it with attention, not while distracted. Third, don't compensate. If you're going out for a big dinner tonight, don't starve yourself beforehand. Arriving hungry at the dinner isn't a recipe for moderation, is it? Just eat normally. Fourth, watch the drinks in particular. The evidence on sugary drinks is stronger than for any other treat, and swapping them for water, tea, or coffee without the sugar is one of the highest impact changes most people can make, and it's also one of the easier ones. And fifth, if treats feel tied more to emotions than to hunger or genuine enjoyment, just notice that. You don't have to fix it immediately. Observing the pattern, noticing the facts, is usually the first step to doing something useful about it. So here's what I want you to take away. You don't need to earn your treats. You don't need to compensate for them, justify them, or feel guilty about them. What you do need is a pattern of everyday eating that's strong enough so that treats can stay in their proper place, the exception and not the rule. Get your defaults right. Eat well most of the time. And then when it's someone's birthday or Friday night, or just a moment when a good piece of chocolate is going to make the afternoon better, go ahead. That's not a compromise on healthy eating. That's what healthy eating actually looks like. Now, Eat Well is pillar 2 of the new 5 a day. If you want to go deeper, there's a companion blog post and a detailed deep dive covering the evidence on our website at www.new5aday.com. That's the number 5, with a full citations list as well. Hey, thank you for listening. If you found this useful, please like, share, and follow so that other people can find it too. And until next time, go on, treat yourself.